in gaming, taking the milady out of my games.
It's not meant to be mean, but we thought it was clever. All right. Oh, you don't get to see our glorious selfies. Like we tried to take the worst, ugliest selfies in cosplay, and then we put them on the slide for you. So if we get the VGA cable, we'll go back.
What you're cosplaying.
Love Live.
Oh, I'm JoJo, so.
And what is May? King of the Balls. That's
She's
what
like
she is. Oh, okay. All right, so if you looked at the panel description, which doesn't matter, we're going to tell you what it is right now.
I'll tell you anyway.
It is making up more than half of the world's population and being responsible for 100% of that population is a tough gig, but women survive. On top of all that, women across the globe have enjoyed playing and making video games since the arcade era of gaming. Join us as we discuss the history of women in gaming, the importance of women in gaming, and speculate what the future may hold for gamer girls. There will also be an open forum for people to share their personal experiences in the gaming community. And
Questions about the during panels.
And you guys can feel free to stop us if we like say something and you're like, I want to say a thing, and it's like, that's fine, you can say a thing.
One of my
I'm
first
used to
things
being
to say.
I'm used to being interrupted as a teacher, so that's fine.
I'm used to
No
interrupting.
cable
Sorry, we are VGA less. I thought you guys needed an HDMI.
either. I have a converter. I could have done both. It's okay. If I would have known, I would have.
If I come in 20 minutes and have one, is that okay?
Yeah.
All right, I'll try to figure something out.
Thank you. We'll show you guys the ugly selfies.
That's what you're here for, really.
Yeah, that's what I go to panels for.
What school do you teach at?
Huh?
What school do you teach at?
East Valley High School in East Mesa. I mean, you go to college. So our first panel doesn't really have much other than Samus, and you guys probably all know what Samus looks like. So, milestones for women in gaming. So it's kind of going over some of the history points. You might not know that. The first female in video games was Carol Shaw. She was a video game designer for Atari, and then she continued on and moved on to Activision. Mrs. Pac-Man, you guys are probably familiar with, was the female version of Pac-Man and one of the first big female icons in arcades. Samus was obviously a female protagonist, and her gender was a plot twist, and challenged the preconceived notions of what it meant to be a protagonist, because everyone assumed she was male. So
And
they
surprise,
it's a girl.
Samus is a surprise. Next is Roberta Williams. She co-founded Sierra Entertainment, originally known as Sierra Online. She was like the head writer in a lot of the King's Quest games, on the Laura Bow series. She's credited with the creation of the graphic adventure genre,
Which is a great genre, I don't know, one of my faves. And then Laura Croft was a well-known, strong female protagonist, and she was the first gaming icon to be female. I consider her icon because you could see her on products that weren't just video games. If you remember all the like terrible TV commercials that had her and wasn't Sonic in some of them with her, like they'd like interact, like there were terrible PlayStation commercials where she was just like interacting with all the other icons. So that's what I remember of Laura Croft.
It was like the food fight of the.
Yeah. And then this one, Princess Peach appears in more games than any other female character, and she has her own game. So not only does she appear in games, she has her own games, and she was definitely one of the first. And then Ellie from The Last of Us is kind of newer. So the marketing didn't want her on the cover at first, but the creator insisted she get equal billing.
They said there was this preconceived notion that if a woman was on the forefront of the box art, it wouldn't sell as well. And Naughty Dog argued, we're not taking Ellie off the front of The Last of Us, we're not putting Joel in front of her, she is going in the front.
Yeah, and so there was a big hubbubaloo about that, and so she kind of made, she put her on the front. And it's a game that some people would say is more masculine, and that's why they wanted the guys in the front.
The solo part of the game is like the best, just shaking everybody going everywhere.
Oh, you guys get to see all
the
our
shaking
grass. Our beautiful, wonderful grass. Maybe
Spoilers.
I found transparent graphs so that you can still see the PowerPoints in the background. Hello. We don't have an HDMI cable or a VGA cable or any cable.
About 20 minutes they're gonna bring us one.
Yeah. Yeah. Sarah, we were gonna have you click, so go over there in case we need you to click when they come with a cord. That's what I was gonna ask you. You have the Bay on your shirt, the Baymax. There's no cable that my computer can hook up to. I have all the converter cables. That's for, but I don't have a cord. Do you have an HDMI cord up your booty because you don't have one in that little baby purse?
Yeah, girl.
Oh, I'm sorry. I give many. Our fellow panelists who are late because I made them late. It was my fault. Nikki's freaking out. So has anyone here heard of the Bechdel test?
Yes.
Okay, what is it? It's super easy.
Oh, God. Sorry, my brain's a little fried.
That's okay.
Basically, if female characters are talking to each other and it does not include them talking about men.
Okay, May, give her this candy that I found.
Oh, I get candy.
I'm really bad at throwing, so I'm not gonna throw things. Yeah, of course.
That is what the Bechdel test is. If you didn't hear, it is two female conversations having an on-screen conversation about a topic. Yes, but having a conversation on screen about a topic that isn't men. And the hard mode is both females have names, and the conversation is over 60 seconds in length.
Yes, and it's a really low bar, so that's why you think a lot more movies and video games and forms of media would pass, because it's such a low bar. Two girls having a conversation on screen about something other than men, a lot of things have to pass that, right? Wrong. So 55% pass all three aspects of the test, only 55% of films.
11% pass two of the criteria.
And 24% pass one of the criteria.
10% of films completely fail.
So like no ladies, they don't talk, nothing. And there's a ratio of 2.5 males to 1 female in all the top grossing movies. And of female characters with speaking roles, 1 and 3 were wearing sexually revealing clothing. So if they talk, they have to show their tits, right? All right.
Here's a list of
some video games.
This isn't all games, but this is a list of some games that have passed the Bechdel test. Let's go back and forth.
So Bayonetta,
BioShock 2,
Brutal Legend,
Fable 2,
Mass Effect 1 and 2,
Metal Gear Solid 4,
Mirror's Edge,
Persona 3 and 4,
Lara Croft Tomb Raider Legend, Underworld, and Anniversary,
King's Quest 7, The Princess Bride.
I love the name of that one, it's so good. WWE SmackDown versus Raw 2010. I love that one passes the Bechdel test.
So I think it's our favorite entry on the list. Sword and Sorcery.
It's good, got it on here. If the cable was working, we could play it together. No, kidding. Space Channel 5. Michael Jackson's also in that game, you know.
There's Uvala, we have her on the PowerPoint.
Yeah, she's on there.
Dragon Age Origins.
Final Fantasy 13, the one that no one liked, but it passes the Bechdel test.
So that's one thing, right? Batman Arkham City.
Steel Princess, as in like you steal something? I don't know, that's a good name.
The Misadventures of Trombone.
Trombone! Fight me!
I'm sorry.
My wife.
That.
Trombone's adorable. For Mega Man. Perfect Dark.
Love Live School Idol Festival.
Because they're all girls. Sorry, we like Love Live. We were like, it passes because they're all girls all the time.
And that's all they talk about.
And that's all they talk about is like food. And being a school idol.
That's her idea.
Maybe you want to say anything or no?
Love Live.
No, okay, she doesn't want to read a thing. I'll take that as.
You want me to read this? I can't see it. Women in today's gaming world. So women make up 52% of the gaming population, but only 12% of game designers and only 3% of all programmers are female.
So what's interesting is people are 52, so they make up more than half the market. Actually, half of the world's population, about 52% are female. So it's really just saying that it is about half and half who play video games.
So, you just may not hear them. Studies find girls are significantly less likely to play games with others or even talk with others about playing video games online. So,
Or even turn on their mics. So we have some, again, I tried to make, I tried to get the visual learners, but you know, they don't want the visual learners. I'm sorry, you guys. But so The age of video gamers, 29% are under 18 years, so almost 30% is under 18. I mean, they shouldn't be playing some of those games, that's 18 and up. 32% 32% are between 18 and 35, and then 39% are 35 plus years, which, I mean, a lot of people will probably be surprised at that demographic because most people assume, oh, games, that's what like 18-year-old boys play online. It's like, no, older people play games more so than kids who are under 18. And women, 52% of gamers are women and 48% are male. They don't have a not identifying section. No, I'm kidding. And women of the age 18 or older represent a significantly greater population of the game playing population. Greater portion of the game playing population, 36%, than boys age 18 or younger. And the significance of that is, you see most marketing going towards young men, like usually teenage boys, but older women are actually playing more games than teenage boys. He wasn't gonna come. And again, I'd show you the graphs, but basically, girls, if they go online, they're not going to turn on their mics and they're not going to reveal their gender. And girls, on average, will not even play a game when someone else is in the same room. So they don't even like social gaming because it's kind of frowned upon to be, when, they don't want to get crap from their friends. So why do women game differently? Maybe you want to read this one?
Sure. So males and females experience fandom in different ways. Male fandom tends to be a more curator fandom, so they collect and organize and memorize facts and figures. Male fandom tends to be keepers of the canon. The fandom places great weight on those who have the biggest collections and the deepest knowledge of obscure subjects, the first appearances, creators, character interactions, that sort of stuff, whereas female fandom is much more creative. Females create fan art, cosplay, fan writings. Female fandom alters the canon for the simple reason that canon does not necessarily serve female fandom. In order for it to fit the outsider, so female, queer, POC, person of color, the canon must be attacked and rebuilt, and that takes creation. So it's two completely different types of experiences for men and women.
And I know CJ, you wanted to say something about this slide. I'm sorry, I just got here. Our token boy, my brother.
Thanks for just assaulting me with this. I prepared it all. What panel have you been on, please?
We're on the importance of women in gaming because you're seeing
The one with the PowerPoint.
the only one with the PowerPoint.
Oh,
All right.
there are no other PowerPoint?
No, there's not one for trivia. That would give away the answers. All right. And again, it's more because you don't see, and like we said with one of our previous panels, you don't see a lot of women in programming. You don't see a lot of women developing games. And it's not because they don't want to be there. It's it's hard to get there, and therefore we don't see a lot of female characters. And we'll talk a little bit more about the ones that we do see. But in order to be the main character, in order to see people like themselves, a lot of females just take the canon and change it. And that's where we get a lot of fan fiction, fan art, communities. But it also, the reasons why women game differently might be society's expectations. The society's expectations in our culture for men and women are different, and the way we interact with media is influenced by that. It's almost shameful for girls to like anything, so not just video games, like girls who like pumpkin spice lattes. Oh my gosh, you like pumpkin spice lattes, she's so fake. But if she happens to like beer, oh, she's just liking beer so that she can hang with the guys. So no matter what she does, if she likes something too much, if she comes out with this opinion, it's usually attacked. So usually they'll be more subdued about it. Oh yeah, like I play that game, or and then they'll interact more on online communities where they don't have to face people.
Or disclose their gender.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a guy on a lot of forums.
I mean, it's got its benefits. Oh, we can't show this thing with Kim.
No, you can't show the guns.
All right, which leads very well into what our next slide is, which says policing what it means to be a true gamer. And what I mean by policing is when people in fandoms go around and say, you're not a true gamer unless you say this, or you're not a true fan unless you do this or know this. But here's the deal. No matter what type of games you play, no matter how often you play or what mode you play on, if you identify as a gamer, then you are a gamer. That's it. It's that simple. Yeah, so, yeah, I was gonna say, you wanna switch? You guys can read these too.
I want to act out the tweet.
Oh, you can act out the tweet in a second. So Nick and me and you will read these ones.
Your mom plays Candy Crush and sends 5 requests a day? Gamer.
Your buddy who beat all the Mega Man X games without dying? Gamer.
Someone who casually plays Halo? Gamer.
Hardcore Pokemon fan? Gamer.
Sister who only plays JRPGs on easy mode? Gamer.
And the dog who fetches the Wiimote for you? He's not a gamer, but he would be if only he had opposable thumbs. I changed it for you, CJ.
Yeah, I brought up, she was gonna bring up the dog. I'm like, dog can't identify as a gamer if he plays fetch. That's
You know
not a video.
what if he played on iToy or Kinect? Like what if he's a really big dog?
If there's fetch on the Kinect, sure, you could play it.
All right, May, act out this
Coming
tweet for us.
2016.
Only on hardcore difficulty.
Yeah.
So we had this friend, she is a girl, she's really hardcore into games, like she scares me sometimes. She was at RTX, like whenever that was.
Builds.
Yeah, she just
Too
did
much.
something from Destiny, and it's like the coolest costume I've ever seen in my entire life. So she really likes Destiny, and she was at RTX, and she bought the Thorn, which appears to be a gun. I know nothing about Destiny. And so the tweet is,
It's got good music, I know.
I just bought the Thorn, next step is Hawkmoon. And some stranger that she doesn't even know decides to tweet at her and say, if you were smart, you'd go with last word. Then again, you are a girl. Like, you know any better.
And then you like put some like, what is it?
Sweating emoji.
Oh, faces. That's like the faces that he put. She would own that noob in real life.
Like, I'm sorry I have a different opinion on what gun I should like.
I mean, gun. No, I'm kidding. Gun. It's like bees.
Speaking of gun.
Oh, speaking of gun, there's a picture from Splatoon on the slide that you can't see. It's adorable.
Dude.
Yes. So we talk.
Just imagine the female inkling, you'll get it.
Yeah.
With a gun.
I mean,
You always
it's a
have a gun?
Splatoon gun. All right, say the things, Nikki.
It's a good example, games with good examples of female representation.
Splatoon, obviously.
Got so many girls.
I mean, and they're adorable. It was great.
The
But
Last
that's
of
also
Us.
Tomb Raider, 2013.
Dragon Age, Mass Effect, Dark Souls.
And we know creative characters can be good and bad. CJ, you want to talk about this one?
Is my mic on?
Yes, it is. We didn't turn your mic off just because you're a boy. Feminist, that means we're for equality. If we had two guys that were friends, where's the dog? We need another guy. He's dead. Her husband is dead.
Anyway, so I was bringing up the whole create a character thing, and it can sometimes feel like a cop-out. It can feel like, well, you know, I let the player make a female character, so I'm like completely off the hook, right? And you know, it'll automatically pass the Bechdel test, because as soon as she starts talking to a woman, bam, I'm done, awesome. But it can be a little problematic, because if the player character at that point becomes like one of the only, if not the only important female character, it can start to feel a little problematic. And what was kind of weird in Skyrim is almost impossible to sort of do a Bechdel test for, because of just how big it is and how many things are going on, how many people can possibly talk to each other. But for college, I was helping a group do a video game version of the Bechdel test, and Skyrim was one of the games. We were choosing like very top-selling games that were also critically acclaimed. Obviously, Skyrim fit both those things. I was trying to find like, you know, a concrete example without the player character, which is difficult because if anyone's played Bethesda games know that as soon as you come on the scene, everybody just stares at you and you are the center of attention. But my character was sneaky, so that was good. I could watch people and they wouldn't notice me. That's not weird. So, I went into, this is gonna be weirder, the all-female temple to try and see if any of them talked to each other, like at all, about anything. And they didn't. If you're not there, they just kind of walk around, do whatever. So I couldn't find an example for the Bechdel test. So I was like, that's interesting. And a lot of the important NPCs in Skyrim are male. There is like the leader of the Dark Brotherhood and some other things. So it's not like completely barren, but it was just interesting that it didn't pass the test even in an environment where you would expect it to.
My brother and I have taken courses on critical video game theory at Arizona State University, so like we'll probably reference those things. Another good example is Beyond Good and Evil.
Metroid minus other M.
Because other M is not a good example. It take the character and it ruin it.
I want to talk about that in the next slide.
Yes.
That was his choice.
Portal is a good example. Even though technically it wouldn't pass the Bechdel test because Chell doesn't talk, but it's still a good example of female representation. That's why the Bechdel is not a end-all be-all test. It's just such a low bar. You think things would pass it.
Alex Vance from Half-Life 2.
And Joanna Dark from Perfect Dark, which I had a picture for somewhere, I'm sure, but everything
She's
died.
hiding.
All my work on the prettiness of this PowerPoint. No, that's not, because these are bad examples of female representation. The whole Grand Theft Auto series is a bad example. I love how many covers have a lady in a bikini on them. The answer is most of them.
The answer is Q.
All right. Having one female in a group of males.
The Smurfette principle.
Oh yeah, you're the reverse. Yeah, you're the one male. You're our token boy.
I like the he Smurf.
Smurfer.
Maybe, but that could also mean a lot of things.
I don't
with
know who you
Smurfs.
saw her.
Yeah.
I don't know about anything with Left 4 Dead.
I don't know.
Okay, did you bring up Left 4 Dead? Sorry.
Left 4 Dead, yeah.
Okay, Left 4 Dead's actually kind of interesting because they tried to legitimize it, only having one female in the party. As I was reading about it anyway. Apparently, like the backstory, the zombie outbreak has the people who are immune to it. The immunity gene is in like the X chromosome, and it's recessive. So females have to have, if I'm remembering this correctly, I'm probably butchering it, but females have to have it in both their X chromosomes, while males have to have it in one. So
what you're saying is this game company decided to specifically make it harder for females to survive. Like they made a conscious choice to cut out women from this game.
I feel like it was backpedaling though, man. I feel like it was
you think then
backpedaling.
though that most of the zombies would be female, but it seems kind of like an even split at best.
Oh.
I remember that.
You can't see it, but I have a sexy Mortal Kombat character on here.
Which one?
I don't know. No, I can beat all my students at Mortal
I think
Kombat,
that's-
but I don't know any of their names. I'm like, all right, set me up as the one with the teeth.
that
And then
looks-
they set me up, and I'm like, all right, I beat all of you. All right, now set me up as the one with the bees. And they're like, all right, we set you up, miss, and then I beat them. So like, I don't know their names.
What color is the bikini?
It's blue.
Like,
I think it's
right?
Melina. I think it's
This one
Melina.
is blue on here.
Oh, the blue.
No,
That's
blue
that's
Melina. There's a Melina.
Okay.
Katana. God. I'm
She's got
sorry.
fans
I'm sorry.
and a
So
Yeah,
mask.
it doesn't, Tom.
All right. And so that leads to our next point, which is has females, but only as accessories or there for sex appeal. Which an example is Duke Nukem. I mean, I think we can all agree that that's just a terrible game all around.
It wasn't good.
And I kind of wanted to bring up the Samus Aran example from Other M
Oh yeah.
a little bit. So
I mean, no one can see this PowerPoint but us, so no one knows that.
So there are some people that will defend Samus's interpretation from Other M as, you know, like, well, you know, Samus from the other games just like is a blank slate. She was really boring and stuff, and just this stereotypical Space Marine type whatever.
I would like to present Fusion as a case against that, which you're probably about to do, because Fusion had some of the best characterization for her. And that was before her.
Well, I was actually going to bring up. I mean, that's obviously good. I was going to bring up another case about it. I was going to bring up the feeling that, you know, even if Samus Aran is a blank slate, even if she's just kind of, you know, the badass in the suit, there are so many male examples of it that are celebrated and, you know, liked, like Master Chief. And So like, with other M, they did so many things to Samus to like that seemed out of character for a typical badass space marine. It's almost like, well, would people have been as supportive of Master Chief if in like a Halo game and an alien came along, he was reminded of like his massacred family, and he broke down and couldn't fight the alien until a female character came in and like helped him out of it or something. I just don't think it would have been as defended in that case.
And the point is that she did have character before, but they completely overwrite that. But even if she hadn't had character before, it still would have been a stupid decision.
I agree.
Yes.
I agree.
It hurts to think about.
Yeah, so we don't talk about other, just like we don't talk about the Harry Potter epilogue. There, what are you talking about? There was nothing on those pages. It was terribly written. All right.
I'm so glad she goes all those blank pages.
I'm glad she has all those blank pages at the end of Harry Potter for me to write my own ending.
So kind.
So nice. All right, the importance of female representation in gaming. So I kind of put 5 principles of why representation is important in general. So in general, representation is important because it gives people a stronger sense of self and affirmation of identity. 2, it gives children somebody to relate to and look up to. 3, it expands people's assumptions of their capabilities, assumptions that are often relayed to them through constant negative media portrayal. So if all they see is Barbie, and Barbie can't even wear flats, then they're gonna think, oh, I have to wear heels in order to be a good woman. I have to have blonde hair in order to be a good woman. I thought for the longest time as a child, if I wasn't blonde-haired or blue-eyed, I wasn't gonna find someone who would love me. And then number 4, it provides a more realistic look at the world's population. Because if all you see are the people that look the same, when you see people that look different, you're like, what? And 5, it fights the idea that straight white male equals normal and everything else is other. And so studies show that even little black girls will prefer the little white baby doll over a black baby doll because they've been taught for so long that this is what a baby doll looks like and this is what you're expected to like. And so even people who are different will choose the one that they see in the media all the time. And there was a really cute story, and I'll let you go after this, but there was a really cute story about like a kid on the bus going, and I'll get to use it, on a kid on the bus going, Mom, look at that guy, his leg came off. And she's like, yeah, he must have lost in the war, he looks like a veteran. Yeah, he's just like Godward in How to Train Your Dragon, that's so cool. And then there was a girl with natural hair, which is becoming, for black women, it was a long time taboo to have natural hair, so more women are getting natural hair, and there's this woman on the bus with natural hair, and the kid's like, oh, her hair is just like Annie's, that's so cool. And so this like little kid is understanding that people are different, and that can be super cool. Okay, so let's go back to your...
related to representation, one of my favorite case studies ever is, it was a test to see how people respond, or what your subconscious assumption of accurate portrayal ratios are.
Yes.
And so they had a room full of predominantly men, and they specifically filled the room with 10% women, and reviewed afterwards, asking all participants, how many women do you think were in the room, how many men did you think were in the room? And people were like, oh, we saw a few women in the room. They, I think, changed it to 20 or 30% women, and they started having respondents saying, it seemed like it was half men and half women. And if they made it 50-50, a lot of people were like, this room was predominantly women. There's too many women in this room. Because your media representation averages 1 female in the male supergroup, 2 female extras in the crowd scene at 20. We're used to seeing those ratios. So even though the world is 50% men and 50% women.
And it's actually 52% women and 48% men.
Exactly.
Sorry, it's an interesting fact.
Even though those are the ratios that you're literally walking around the world in, you assume an even number is too many women.
And it's proven too, so I love that study, and it was done after the study where they found that based on speaking ratios in a conversation, if the women speak 30% of the time, men think they dominate the conversation. And if they speak any more than that, they freak out, yeah, men didn't have any say. So CJ, you don't even have any say, not even one word. But it's that study was inspired by the study where they had the conversations and they would have women have speaking time, and it'd be like, how long did women speak for? And if they spoke for more than 30% of the time, they'd say it was the majority of the time. All right, Nikki, do you want to read the next one? Sorry, I could go into studies. I could go into studies forever. Like, my background is in social justice and psychology, and I have my master's and all those things. I know May could go on forever too. She lives. All right. An important point number 2 was it gives children somebody to relate to and look up to. Little girls play video games too. They haven't been taught yet too much in society. Just like if you watch little girls, they'll tell you they can do anything. They haven't been tainted yet by the media saying you can't, you can't, you can't. So little girls play video games without the, like, unabashedly. They're like, yeah, I want to play Mario. And don't they deserve to have role models and characters they can relate to in games? Like, I mean, they have Princess Peach, but they should have more. There should be plenty. Just like, that's why I really like Splatoon, because it really is 50-50. And then what kinds of role models are we currently presenting to them? What kind of role models are we currently presenting to little girls? Is sexuality empowering or objectifying? What do you guys think? What do you think, CJ? Is sexuality empowering or objectifying?
See, I was hoping you guys could provide background on that, but I'll try to. I'll give my. Okay. No, please do.
It can be empowering. It can be a very strong thing, but when it's done to please male viewers, it's not. It's very objectifying, and that's not okay. But sexuality is something that we should embrace, but not to please male viewers.
And we shouldn't force it either. Like, you shouldn't have to wear makeup and heels if you don't want to. You should be able to dress and feel how you like. And then, like our little John, just teasing her. I'm gonna tease her all day. And then a lot of people are like, oh, you're dressed up. Who you dressed up for? What, are you trying to get a man? It's like, no, I'm dressed up because I want to feel fab today. Like, most of the time I dress up because I want to look super cute. My wife actually hates when I get all makeup and dressed up. She's like, you're wearing too much. And I'm like, you know what? I feel fabulous.
Okay, I was hoping I wasn't the only one that was going to think that sexuality has a place.
It does. But for women, that's why, and I've known people as an adult who say, I'm going to get plastic surgery. And the question always is, are you getting the plastic surgery for you, or are you getting it for like a husband or a boyfriend? If you're getting it for yourself, I mean, you got to know the dangers. But like, if you're doing it for you, that's the important distinction. Yeah.
To me, one of the important distinctions too is when it comes to portrayals of sexuality, like, is it sexuality with agency?
Mm-hmm.
Is it, is it sexy women in the background to be looked at, or are it female characters who get to be sexy if they want to?
Yes, and is it their choice? Are they more than just background? Are they more than just accessories? Do they have agency over that?
And is, like, sexual stuff happening to them their only backstory?
Mm-hmm.
Because it should be.
And
if it's the only detail you're going to give me about somebody, you're
No.
done, go home.
Yeah. No, don't want that. None of that. And then another thing to remember for that is a lot of times these women are shown as very sexual beings, and then something happens to them, and even the media makes us, oh, well, she shouldn't have been wearing that, or she shouldn't have been doing that. And it's like, no, that's not how it be. Teach boys not to rape. Rape is not okay. And then, not only do we have the sexuality aspect, which happens a lot in video games, and in all media, typecast. What roles are women playing in video games? We usually have the damsel in distress, we have the male's love interest, we have the healer. Think of how many times you've seen the healer character be the female character, and there's just one female character and she's the healer. Think of that, what that means. And then the mentor character, like, she's allowed to be the mentor, but she's not allowed to be the protagonist. So she's allowed to be part of the person that, like, teaches and helps, but she's not allowed to have that main role herself. There's a lot of examples. I mean, Mia is an example of both of these. Yes.
And usually if she's a mentor, she's there to be surpassed.
Yes, yes, and she's always
there
saying,
to teach, and then she's there to get her butt kicked.
yep, exactly. And she again doesn't play a role like she teaches, he surpasses her, and then she's out.
Yeah.
So our next slide, we're going to talk a little bit. You guys probably have heard about Gamergate. We're just going to talk about a little bit.
I thought you were going to take out that slide.
You what? I just want to say that basically, so Zoe Quinn, Brianna Wu, there, and with Zoe Quinn and CJ, you pointed out there is corruption in journalism, but no one deserves to have done to them what was done to these women. Rape threats, terrorist threats, doxing, which is terrible, death threats, threats of violence. And so for Anita Sarkeesian, it was over her series Tropes versus Women in Video Games. For Zoe Quinn, her ex-boyfriend sparked controversy resulting in extreme harassment. She's developed the game Depression Quest. And then this whole issue at least brought to light and got people talking about misogyny in gaming. And then after this incident with Zoe Quinn, she co-founded Crash Override, which is a network to assist victims of online harassment. In March 2015, they joined forces with the Online Abuse Prevention Initiative. So they're like helping people who've been doxxed on all these things, because I can't imagine all my information being let out and like having to move and stuff. That's a lot of money and a lot of time, and like you build your life and then to have it come crashing down.
That and your mental safety.
Oh yeah. And then Brianna Wu is a game developer who was doxxed and threatened for attacking and ridiculing Gamergate supporters. So basically the moral of the story is don't threaten to rape people, don't threaten to hurt or kill people, and don't tell people to kill themselves. Not only is it a dick thing to do, it's also illegal. Especially if it's damaging to the person, but if they actually commit suicide and they can trace you back, that is illegal and you are arrested. Yeah, well, it's
Yeah.
I don't remember the exact term. I can't think of it right now. I should have wrote it down in here. But
Should have written.
you know what, CJ? I teach English, so I'm gonna make up new rules. But just wanted to touch upon it. Did anyone want to bring up anything very pressing?
I just want to say it goes back even before Gamergate was
Yeah.
was a hashtag, right?
Yeah.
You had the developer at BioWare who talked about making games that were easy or having an easy mode where you could just progress through the game and enjoy the story without having to necessarily learn the mechanics. And the attacks that came on her were pretty nasty.
Yeah, and that was like a whole year before? Or
And
That was at least a year before
at
Gamergate.
least a
Yeah.
year before.
one thing I wanted to bring up was that the whole, corruption in gaming journalism was going on, and it was, not high profile, but easily visible before the Gamergate thing happened. One prominent example that I remember, just, didn't even have to look it up, except I'm pretty sure it was IGN, but I might be wrong, but there was a review of Kane and Lynch, one of the Kane and Lynch games.
GameStop.
What
It
was
was
that?
GameStop or
GameSpot.
Yeah,
GameSpot, yes.
that got them to go and found Giant Bomb. So those
Yeah.
guys are in charge of Giant Bomb.
Yeah, but the point was that Kane and Lynch was being heavily promoted on their website, paying a lot of money for all this to go down, and then the reviewer, was honest. He was like, "Game wasn't that good. I'm giving it a not so great score."
I played it, it's awful.
Yeah, but the point was, he was being honest, but they're like, dude, we were being bankrolled. There was a lot of money behind this. You can't do that, dude. And so they fired him over it. And it's just interesting that of all the potential flashpoints for the discussion on journalism and gaming, why it had to be over female-targeted revenge porn, why it had to be that instead of anything else, it's just a very interesting coincidence.
Yeah, so it can be about both, but it did reveal a lot of the sexism, not only in games, but in the gaming community, and at least it opened up the discussion, and I feel like a lot more people are having. And then shout out to myself for writing a paper with the same title as this PowerPoint slide, The Potential for Video Games as Agents of Social Change. So we've talked a lot about the past of video games, the present of video games, and so I'm going to talk a little bit about what the future could look like. So video games, as the fastest growing form of media, it took longer for televisions to be in households than it is taking for video game systems to be in households. So as the fastest growing form of media, they have an extraordinary power to elicit change from the society in which they are popular, particularly in the areas of racism, sexism, and heteronormativity. They have the power to influence societal assumptions based on misconceptions and stereotypes. And you say, how? How do they have that? And I say, video games have an unmet potential to create complexity by letting people experience the world from different perspectives. That's from a guy, James Paul G. He's written a lot about video games and social justice stuff. But think about in a video game, you get to play as this avatar, and it's neither a reflection exactly of you, but it's not exactly a separate person. You kind of really identify usually with the person or avatar you're playing as. You build this kind of relationship and a certain attachment to this avatar. And video games could take advantage of this special quality of theirs and use it to break stereotypical ideas about women and minorities. And I'm not saying that they need to make a video game about exactly this. Like, you need to make a video game about being a black man and being shot by the police. Like, no, it's not that. It's not that explicit. It's not that explicit. It's more of a, if we had more characters of color, if we had more female characters, if we had more homosexual characters, people could experience it in like subtle ways, even if it was just like, that wasn't even a big part of their character, even if it just happened to be something else. Just like Samus, a lot of people were like, oh, so she was a girl the whole time and she did the same things a boy would do. Oh, so it's not that different. But we could also explain prejudice, and you could see those little nuances of what it's like to be another race, another gender, if you could play as that in a video game. And it was an important part of the video game. So in addition to becoming instrumental tools for institutional goals, video games can also disrupt and change fundamental attitudes and beliefs about the world, leading to potentially significant long-term social change. Because we're finding that they have more of this immersion quality. So you might hear you get immersed in a book or you get immersed in a movie and you're like, oh, it was so cool, I was so sucked in. But video games actually have this immersion quality to them that is so much more psychologically powerful than any other media we've had yet. And they could use this and disrupt and change the fundamental attitudes and prejudices that people have. And that's from a philosopher guy called Bogos, who writes the book Persuasive Games. If you say these ones.
Say these words.
Yeah.
The future of gaming, hopefully.
We can't predict the future. We're not fortune tellers. Yet.
Level up.
Level up.
Women are undeniably a big part of the gaming market and community. Like, that's...
And we've established that. I wish you could see my graphs.
We don't even have a graph on this page.
No, on the other pages. This is like a review page.
There's a test I hope you studied.
Oh my god. So the ways in which they enjoy games can be similar to the ways in which men enjoy games, but even when it's different, it's still gaming. CJ, you were talking about that article, right? The one where they did the studies about how men and women game and how it's actually way more similar than it is different.
They found that there were a lot of similarities between how men play games and how women play games. This was what was the study? It was when like the PS2 was big. So
yeah,
I think
so
it was before
old,
the PS3. But you know, it's journal studies. They don't get published like the second they're done. They got to go through all that peer reviewing process and all that. I think it was published like 2011. But the study did show that at the time, more men were willing to identify themselves as gamers and were more ready to say, yeah, I'm pretty good at games. Just in total. But the way they play, sort of, it wasn't like, women just like to do all the conversation paths and, play as the healers and everything. It was just they had similar goals when they were playing. Let me see, women liked racing games, very competitive, and men liked sports games, were very competitive. So they both had both sexes had competitive streaks to them, since gaming is competitive by its nature. And so it wasn't as, men are from Mars, women are from Venus type separation. There was a lot of overlap.
And there was a lot of stuff that they wanted from video games. They basically, everyone wants to have fun, so they wanted a fun, interesting video game with a good like system to play, the opposite of Sonic 06. Good game mechanics, right?
You mentioned something that men are more willing to own up to being good at video games.
Yes, that was found in the study.
Even video games that I know that I'm really good at, I will hesitate to say, yeah, I'm good at this game, because I know that the minute I say that,
a
guy
guy
is
you
gonna
know this
test
thing?
me on it. Yeah,
They're gonna get popped.
I'm really good at Pokemon. Oh, fight me right now.
Oh, you want to battle? Let's battle. Actually, but really though, I say that to my kids. My kids are like, Miss, I'm playing Pokemon right now. I'm like, battle me after school, and I will beat them. I don't beat them at Smash. I admit that I'm not very good at that one, but I will beat them at Pokemon. I beat those kids.
But if you claim to be good at a video game and then you lose, suddenly you're not a real gamer anymore.
Oh my god. Yes.
Your status as a real gamer shouldn't be dependent upon your skill level.
No. And a lot of, once you say you're good at something, all of a sudden they're going to start quizzing you. Oh, so what's the name of the final boss of this version if only available in Japan?
From 6 years ago.
From 6 years ago. So I do the same thing. Oh, so you like this game? Unless it's one of my students, in which case I say, fight me. If it's like someone I don't know, I'm like, oh yeah, I play that game because I don't want to get into it. I'm going to avoid that confrontation. As women in society in general, we're taught to avoid confrontation. And then in gaming, we're taught that if we we should just duck our heads, go write our fan fiction, don't talk to anyone. But yeah. And that was the next point, which is women may game differently because of societal expectations and backlash from members of the community. I stopped posting any opinions on Tumblr, ever. I don't have opinions. I stopped having them.
You're not allowed to have opinions.
I didn't want any terrible, terrible asks anymore, so I stopped having opinions on anything and research articles and oh, this is what my background is in, social justice and psychology. Let me tell you a thing. No, you're wrong. What was it? You cunty yank. That was the best insult used at me. So. To move forward, not only in terms of for profit and development, because as we see, a big portion of video gamers are women, 52%. So not only in terms of profit and development, so they should be paying attention to us, but as a medium to be enjoyed by all. Video games and those who identify as gamers must recognize the sexism in games and in the fan base. They must address this issue and work to fix their problem. So CJ, I'm not saying you're a terrible person because of the genitalia you were born with, but I'm saying that you gotta recognize that sometimes it's a little bit hard for us.
Would it be appropriate to say it's sometimes a little bit hard for me too?
Oh God, no, it's not appropriate!
Not all gamer guys.
Not all gamer guys. Oh, I'm gonna cry. And so it's not like, and you hear this stuff, I'm not trying to shame anyone, and I don't think anyone should try and shame anyone. And actually, a fun fact, some of the first feminist writers were men because women weren't allowed to be academics. So John Stuart Mill, one of the first big feminist theory writers, was writing it because, no, John Stuart Mill, he was a feminist writer because his wife really wanted to be an academic and really wanted to do all these cool things, and she couldn't. And he was like, bruh, she should be able to do things, she's really smart. And so he started doing feminist writing. So men can be feminists too. It does, the reason
Men should be feminists.
Exactly. And so hopefully gaming will advance with the rest of society. I'm not saying society is advanced past gaming. I'd say gaming and society are probably about the same place. And so, and I would hope that hopefully maybe video games will take the initiative and start advancing further. Women will be equal to men. Until then, we need feminists in society and especially in gaming. But yeah, and again, my little brother who is a junior in high school, I don't think anyone here, but feminist does mean equality for both sexes. I'm not saying ladies are better, I'm saying they're starting at the lower position in the totem pole because they are. I mean, we were property 100 years ago, right? I'm glad I'm not property. Now, Again, you guys, you don't even get our cute pictures. No, we have 2 minutes, so they can say things for 2 minutes. All right, I know you guys added stuff during, but is there anything anyone wanted to add now?
Have any of you played Remember Me?
I have not.
I love that game.
Play right now.
We got a couple.
Okay, so that's probably one of my favorite female protagonist-driven games in like the last 3 years. Like, it's
What's
right up there
consoles
with
it
the
for?
What?
What console is it for?
PC, Xbox,
Yes.
PS3.
Okay.
Yeah,
Basically, the last console generation.
it's a very
Remember Me?
it's a very good look inside the psyche of somebody who's gotten their memories ripped away from them and is trying to remember.
Yeah.
It's
very She's a memory
It's very beautiful. It's
Who
so
gets her
good, I
mind
love
wiped
it.
and she's trying
Like
to.
with my psychology background, the reason you say it's for the past 3 years, I've been a teacher for the past 3 years, so like I haven't had time to do anything. So I'll make time for this. Oh yeah, I'll make time for this. But like as a teacher, I don't research new things. I just like the same things that I've liked before. All right, I saw another hand. I think. Who want to say anything?
Did anyone have hands?
I mean, I think everyone here has hands. I'm sorry if you don't. That's sad, but you could be just like Gobber from How to Train Your Dragon.
Yeah.
Yes.
I guess I just kind of wanted to say I recently got into the gaming scene about maybe a little over 3 years ago, and like growing up, you know, with brothers and stuff, they always try to draw you in. Hey, come play, you know, this game with us. You know, whether it was like Super Smash Brothers or just like Star Fox or just like other things like that growing up. But I never really like was that interested in it. And honestly, I feel like girls are kind of raised to kind of be like taking the role of the homemaker type thing.
Yeah.
So then their energies are put there and not so much into learning how to be, you know, a great gamer.
Yeah.
And honestly, I didn't find that world until after I got married, you know, and my husband here, he's like, you should really try gaming, you know, it's a lot of fun, and he got me into some of what he was into, and I really love it, and it's just, now it's become a part of my life, and, you know, I'm on the PlayStation 4 for like hours and hours a day, but like, I really encourage all the rest of the girls here, you know, don't be afraid, don't back down to, you know, sometimes you're gonna meet those guys online that are like, well, you're a woman, you should be in the kitchen, go make me a sandwich, and it's like, you know what? No, go make your own sandwich, you know?
Well, and
like,
just statistically speaking, they're in my, I saw one of my 10th graders wearing that Make Me a Sandwich shirt, and I was like, no, get out of my class.
Yeah.
Go to the
And
I don't even
like,
want to talk to you.
And I feel like a lot of the times whenever like I'm in a PlayStation, you know, this PlayStation 4 party, like sometimes I'll join and they're like, oh, it's a girl, you know, what is she doing here? And it's just like, here you just hang out and have fun just like you are.
Just like you are.
Exactly.
For the same reasons. And girls and guys are gaming for the same reasons.
And it started out with me learning, you know, just meeting like a couple people. And then eventually, like, you know, now I got a friends list of like 200 people that I know and respect, and that they respect me as a female gamer. And I can throw down just as hard as they can, you know, when it comes to these games. And I really enjoy it, and I think that, like I set out to try and break those stereotypes, you know, against women, you know, that they can't be as good as guys when it comes to gaming. You can, you know. So I just wanted to share that for whatever it was worth.
Yeah, thank you. And I want to point out, even though she's only been gaming for, you said, the past 3-ish years, she's just as much a gamer as I am, and I've been gaming since I could pick up a controller, because my parents met in an arcade. And so, but my parents met in an arcade in the 80s. Oh, that's why me and my brother are here. But I'm saying she's just as much of a gamer as I am, if not, she's definitely recently playing more games than I've been. All I got is a 3DS right now. All right, but I'm gonna let that be the last comment. Be all feely good. We're gonna feel good.
If you want trivia,
we're
next door in 15 minutes.
We're next door in less than 15 minutes.